for fast, cheap, and reliable Madden 21 Ultimate Team coins. Make sure you guys go check out my sponsor, Easy Mutt. Use code VENOM at checkout for 5% off. Yo, what's up guys, Venom Fire here, back from the video, and today I'm showing you guys my favorite run defense in Madden 21. Now this formation is very slept on. A lot of people are just running stock nickel 3-3-5 wide these days. No one is really in the big nickel over G, but it is still the best run defense in the game far and away as far as shooting gaps, stopping stretches, dives, and it is the best way to get someone out of I form. Now it's not super good against the shotgun run, but we're going to be focusing in on the I form slot, I form close, or mainly just this I form slot, because this is probably one of the most popular formations to run the ball out of. The dive is really good, the stretch is good, and overall it's a difficult formation to shoot the gap out of. But out of this big nickel over G, you can shoot it very effectively, and that's why I like this formation a lot. Also, before we get into the video, make sure you guys do go ahead and hit that subscribe button. We're on the road to 20,000 subscribers. If you're new, hit that sub button, and if you're enjoying the content, go ahead, hit that like as well. But big nickel over G, we're gonna go to the slot cornerback package to give us those extra adjustments on the back end. You're also gonna go ahead, sub in some safeties at linebacker. I would rather use Jaquiski Tart here than Fred Warner just because of the speed difference. Obviously you can get the rest of your DBs, and then you have your 4 down linemen. Now the 4 down linemen are definitely gonna help out here. And as far as the play we're actually running, you could really choose any play you want. Now, the one I'm going to choose is cover one hole. I like to run this out of a man coverage shell just because most run defenses are going to be better out of a man coverage shell. It's just going to give you some more versatility. So that's the reason, but realistically, you could actually run this out of every single play in this formation. We're not really going to adjust our zone drops. Maybe I'll talk about them a little if I were going over, pass defense scenarios, but for now, we're just going to keep things simple. And again, I'm going to come out in this halfback dive. Now, the setup is going to be very simple. All we have to do really, and this is something I like to do, I like to press my defensive backs first of all, just because it's going to be a little bit better against the RPO. Now, if you actually want to know how to stop this RPO alert bubble, all you have to do is throw Y in like a curl flat or a hard flat, and then all I have to do is set my zone drops to 0, then he would play this RPO bubble. So if I know what's coming, I could easily set something up simple like this. But for now, we'll just leave everything relatively stock. I might actually go back and show you guys what that looks like if I do set my zone drops to 0. But for now, we're gonna hop into the run D. So again, I pressed. The next thing we're gonna do is pinch our defensive line, and then we're going to slant outside. Now this is gonna allow us to shoot through the gap. The gap we're shooting through is right here in the middle. Now, deciding who you're going to use her, it's pretty simple. If the strong side, the side you expect them to run the ball to, is going to be the right, you're just going to use this left-hand guy. And also, it's going to be nice to leave that 3-rec hook on the field. More times than not, no one will ever put the fullback out on a route. If they do, it's going to be an easy user for yourself. So I feel comfortable doing this. I just throw my user on a little blitz. Again, it doesn't really make a difference. Now, the reason I'm using 2 controllers here is to time it, because again, if I were not using the second controller, it's going to be difficult for me to time because I have to leave my user completely still, wait for the CPU to snap the ball, and then I have to run again. So it's going to be better if you can get some momentum. So I can kind of like move around here, just get your guy moving. So it's going to be half a second, a split second, shaved off your time, and that ultimately could make the difference. So I'll kind of run through here. I believe I'm in the dive, but I'm just going to snap the ball, and boom. So that was late. That was definitely late by me. I'll show it again there, but you see how you're going to need perfect timing. And even me, snapping the ball with a controller, just getting distracted for a little bit, ends up making, a small difference. So I'll snap it again here, and boom, that is what it looks like. That is what a perfect scenario run defense looks like. And you saw I actually got so close, so fast, that I almost ended up sacking Carr before he was able to get the ball off. Look, he's very, very close there. Maybe if I tap X, I'm actually able to snap it, but that's neither here nor there. The main point is that we just time it perfectly. You see how the gap shoot works, how these guys are not going to end up having a chance to block your user in the middle of the field. Really, your biggest concern with like an I-form formation is going to be that fullback. But even him, he gets like to the right a little bit. Obviously, the QB has to hand the ball off, so he's going to go to the right, by system, by default. That's why you need the timing, because if you're a split second late, he can actually end up picking you up. If he were to bounce it out, you see how Sherman actually is able to get off that block or not even get blocked on that side. But you see how you even though I got a perfect run there was a little bit of room for error, meaning if I didn't time it as good, I still could have got there. So even if I was like a split second later, it still would have worked. So again, I'll snap it, boom, and right there, able to get him in the backfield really, really early. Now, if it's working this good against I-form, just imagine it against single back. You're not going to have that fullback. It's going to be almost guaranteed to work every single time. Again, you can throw your user on a blitz. I'm not sure that really makes a difference, but if you're kind of slacking, it'll guide you a little bit towards the offensive line. Again, just snap the ball, boom, easy gap shoot. Now that time I actually did get blocked. I think I might have hit sticked a little bit early, and that's actually what engaged. So that was definitely a user error, but it's not necessarily guaranteed to work every time, but you see in the runs that it's not working. We're still getting pretty good coverage. Again, as I mentioned, if you press your defensive backs, Richard Sherman should come off the block. You still have this other linebacker. You have 4 down linemen. You have potential to get a shed. So even if you, in the rare occurrence that you're not able to shoot through the gap, it is not too big of a deal. Again, you see there, that time I just purposely timed it perfectly. I kind of sprinted the line, but you actually could potentially sack the QB. Again, just press, pinch D-line, slant outside. Same old, same old. This defense was really popular. It used to be really popular. The run game was a little bit better. Not too many people run the ball as much, but you'll still see if you play draft champs a lot, this is a really good defense for that. It's a really good defense for regs because, again, you don't have all those abilities to help you out. You don't have as much speed. And this is really, really easy to master. Big nickel over G is also in a lot of playbooks, so the one I'm in is 4-6, but you see how still, again, that looked like it was timed perfectly. Sometimes the fullback still picks you up. That's just Madden. It's not, there's no defense that works 100% of the time in Madden. That is the beauty of the game. But let's hop into stretch here. I'm sure you guys are all wondering, how is the stretch going to work? It's going to work very similar. You can still shoot through this gap there. In there, that time I didn't do it good. But really, running it against the stretch, it's just going to reduce the risk. You saw how the fullback's never going to be the one to pick you up, if I'm not mistaken, out of the stretch alert bubble. It's more times than not going to be an offensive lineman. So when I'm shooting stretch, I'm going to try and skid over to the right a little bit rather than going directly in the middle. So I'll time it here. And again, that was poor timing, but you saw I still ran through the gap. My guy kind of paused a little bit there. I'll set it up perfectly here, and you'll see what it looks like. As I audible and snap the ball. Now that time, again, you see the reason that it's not working here is because my guy's not moving. So you see there's a little bit of a pause, and that's ultimately what's causing. It's a little bit difficult, again, for me to even show with just 2 controllers. I have to keep this guy moving, but you see how if I'm paused, the ball snapped, and I can't even move him. I'm like handcuffed for a couple of seconds. We'll set it up here. I'm just going to make sure I move him, and we'll snap the ball. Boom. That is what it looks like perfectly. We got stiff-armed, but that's how it looks. Again, I did not do a good job of showing you those first 2-3 times. But yeah, so the biggest key on defense, just to keep this guy moving. You can kind of time it. If you ever see your opponent, if he's like running the ball, if you see him like click onto an offensive lineman, it doesn't show in practice mode, but in online, if you ever see him click onto an offensive lineman, you'll see the name of the O-lineman show up. If you're like viewing your play art or whatever, then you'll know that he's running the ball. And more times than not, when they click onto the O-lineman, they're going to snap it a couple of seconds or a split second after. But yeah, we'll show it again with good timing. I don't have to be, sprinting to the line. I can just kind of be, moving around just a little bit. And that time again, I snapped it too late. But even though we're not getting through there, we have other leverage. Even if we don't get through, sometimes we're going to distract an alignment that could free up one of our guys. Yeah, I'll show it a couple more times. Just going to try and time it perfectly here so you can see it working in action. That time, that's what a perfect time looks like. Again, you'll be able to sack the QB in a perfect world every single time, but in the times it doesn't work, you still see it's going to be a consistent and constant defense. Again, snap the ball, boom, right there. Sometimes it's better to not go for the quarterback because if it's the handoff even, right before you sack him, there's a little bit of a big play potential. So you always want to be just a little bit careful with going after the quarterback. I know when I was first running this defense, that was a problem I had. I used to just always chase the quarterback, and that's something that you do not want to do. Again, snap the ball, boom. So I could have gone for the sack, but if I miss him, if he hands it off right as I jump to sack him or I dive to sack him, then there might not be a guy there to make the play. It's safer, and there's not really any benefit of not going after the quarterback besides maybe a fumble. Most people run conservative these days. kind of try and show what it looks like if you're like further back. So if I snap the ball a little bit further back, you see how you can still chase him. Really the key is just to be moving and have that forward momentum. Because I can snap it where, you know, I'm running and I snap it right here. I can still end up making that play. But if I'm stuck, if I'm just standing there, I cannot make that play. It's a split second. And if I'm paused for just a split second, not moving forward, have no momentum, that's where your biggest problem is going to come. Show it again here. Boom. Even though I get bumped there a little bit, I got bumped by an O lineman or a D lineman, still able to make that play. Now I'm actually going to hop back into the main menu. I want to show you guys what that RPO alert bubble looks like, what I was kind of talking about with my zone drop. So just for example, I'll set my curl flats to 0. More times than not, I would actually set up my flats to 0, but just for video's sake, it's a little bit easier for me to do it that way. Again, I'm going to run this cover 1 hole, set up the same RPO here. Let's go with the stretch. Now the run defense still works, but if he sees you shoot through that gap, what is he probably going to do? He's probably going to throw that bubble. So you're going to set up the same way. You're going to press. If I were going with this defense, I would just curl flat Y, and I would probably just outside third X. Now, if I want to play safer, maybe if there is going to be a crosser, I can obviously use her. If it's an actual pass, I can use her that left side of the field. So I can just leave it pretty much like this. I'll show what it looks like. I'm not going to use her through the gap, but let's just say I see him running through. I'm going to throw it, and boom. That is exactly the animation that you want, and you see how he's going to play it and pick it off perfectly. Now, Carr doesn't have Gunslinger, but even though I don't have Gunslinger, I threw that RPO as fast as I can. So I'll show what it looks like, even if they wait just a little bit, because that was almost as fast as you probably could do it. Now, Williams does kind of play it weird. These zone drops at 0 are just a little bit weird in the way that they actually move or play. You saw he was just kind of standing there. It looked like he was stuck. That is what it is, but he still ends up playing it in the end. So let's say I see him go through and then I throw it. So obviously I got hit there. I don't have Gunslinger. If I had Gunslinger, that I'd probably get it off. And you see in the instant replay that K1 Williams, I believe is his name, is in perfect position to pick it off. From the time that I threw the ball, which is probably right here, you see how that's an easy click on interception. Even with Gunslinger, you get Acrobat on that guy, you're going to be put in work. I'll show it one more time. I'll kind of show what it looks like, because if I see myself running through the line, I'm just going to snap it. Boom, he's running through the line, try and get it off. And I didn't even set my zone drops up, but if I had my zone drops, that's a pick. But just some nice tips for you against that particular run. What a lot of people will do when they set up this run is they might go to a trips tight end and then audible down if that's the case. Usually if you're able to shoot this run a couple of times, that'll kind of scare him away. So if you see him audibling down, you go to this big nickel over G for 1-2 plays, you end up stopping the run a couple times. He might not go do it back for the rest of the game. And then you could actually set up like a pass defense you like better, nickel 3-3-5 wide, something like that. But that's going to do it for the video. If you guys enjoyed, go ahead, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more tips and tricks, and peace. I'm out of here.